If you have recently inherited a family diamond, you have probably been on Google searching things like how to reset an old ring, cost to reset the Heirloom diamond, or how to modernize the inherited jewelry. You're holding on incredible honor, but you also hold in a dilemma. The stone itself has a huge sentimental value, but the setting is likely not your style. You want to wear the diamond, but you don't want to wear that specific ring. Today we are going to walk through what the actual physical process looks like, what you need to think about before making any decision, and how to avoid making mistakes you will regret for decades. Let's answer the most important question first. If you're wondering how this actually works, the process of resetting a Heirloom diamond is not about forcing your antique stone into the pre-made stock setting. If you do decide to reset the family stone, this is where our custom process comes in. First, the stone is carefully unmounted from the original metal. We then physically measure your exact setting and making the 3D model of it. Why? Because we build a completely custom 3D model and engineer a bespoke setting entirely around it. This ensures the new ring perfectly hugs the diamond, keeping it secure while matching your exact modern aesthetic. It's a highly precise custom engineer process, but before we get to that 3D design phase, my priority goal is to guide you towards making the decision you will not regret decades from now. Let me explain. Before you touch this setting or take it to a jeweler, try to visualize life 20 years into the future. When you look back at this exact moment, are you going to regret taking that entire piece of the family history apart? This is a deeply personal question about the legacy. You do not want to be that person who destroyed the family heirloom piece simply because you rushed into the decision. If you're looking at the ring and see that it's a custom piece with a real story, you need to pause. If you don't know the story behind the ring, stop and ask around your family members. Maybe it marks a special moment in your family history, maybe something else. Check exactly what you have before you disassemble it. This is especially true if you're holding a true unique piece. If the ring is from Victorian or Georgian era and features the old mine cut or old European cut diamond, it's a piece of history. These stones were cut by hands to sparkle under candlelight. Those are very special. It absolutely does not make sense to try and recut them 99% of the time. If a custom piece has survived in your family for that long, I highly recommend keeping it exactly as it is, even if you don't like it at this specific moment. In fact, keeping the heirloom intact is much easier to justify now than it used to be. With modern technology making the lab-grown diamond so incredibly accessible, you don't have to destroy a family heirloom just to get a center stone for your engagement ring. Even if you are on a budget, it might make a lot of sense to buy a new lab-grown diamond for your new engagement ring and keep the historical family piece completely alive and untouched to pass down to the next generation. With that said, there are absolutely times when taking the diamond out of the original ring is the right move. If the setting is very generic, mass-produced piece from the era, and you feel absolutely certainty that you're never going to wear it, then the stone is essentially dead setting in a safe or closet. In that case, it makes complete sense to extract the valuable gem and give it a new life in a bespoke setting that you will actually wear and love every single day. If you decide to move forward with the resetting, before you mail that ring anywhere or hand it over to the jeweler, you need an independent expert to evaluate it. You need to make sure you know exactly what you are holding in your hands. This gives you a peace of mind and ensure you have a proper documentation before the stone is removed. Once you know what it is, you need to know its physical condition. This brings us to the hidden damage reality. People assume diamonds are invincible, but if a ring has been worn every day for decades, it had lived its life. Heavy antique prongs very often hide chips, abrasions, or damaged edges. Before we can even think about setting it into the new 3D design, the stone must be carefully unmounted, deep cleaned, and inspected under magnification to ensure it's structurally safe. I also need to address a very common misconception. A lot of people assume they should just melt down the original gold setting to make the new ring. While that sounds romantic, it usually does not make practical sense or financial sense. Old mine settings contain mixed alloys and solder from the past repairs. The gold has to be chemically refined and mixed with fresh metal to make it structurally sound again. The labor for that refining process usually costs more than the scrap value of the small amount of gold that is in that ring. Most of the time, the biggest financial win in this entire process is simply saving the cost of the center stone itself. It's almost always better to keep the old empty setting as the keepsaker. Let's say 10-20 years from now you're going to change your mind and want to come back to that setting. In that case, it's always going to be there. Or trade the metal in for the credit towards the fresh gold. If your original ring had a smaller side stones, you will also have to think about what you want to do with those leftovers. We can repurpose them into the matching wedding band, a hidden halo, or simply create a pendant. There are many variables to consider when dealing with the inherited jewelry, but I hope this video helped to frame your decision. When it actually comes time to figure out the next step for your heirloom, set up a strategic session with me. We will look at your stone, discuss your option, and I will guide you through the entire process. If you still have any questions right now, either message to me or leave the comment below in this video and I'll gladly respond to it. Thank you so much for watching this video.